Hello and welcome to the 24Connect podcast. This is the show that brings you inspiration from customer-obsessed leaders who are transforming and innovating customer contact. In this episode, 24/7 CEO Rutger is chatting with international keynote speaker Steven Van Belleghem. Using Steven's latest book, The Offer You Can't Refuse, they discuss what the ultimate digital convenience for consumers looks like, and what it takes to make them an offer they can't refuse.
I'm really excited to have someone on the show today who is one of the best known experts in the field of customer centricity. Steven Van Belleghem, it's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you, Rutger. It's a pleasure to be here on your show, so thanks for having me.
So Steven, I think it's about 10 years ago, I believe, that you wrote your first book on customer centricity, a book I studied in detail. Where does this enthusiasm and passion for customer centricity come from?
Oh, I'm convinced that it comes from my childhood. My parents had a small, well, not really that small, but relatively small photography store in a town in Belgium. And I was living there. I was witnessing them. I was helping them out sometimes. And looking back to the way how they organized their store, for me, it became very clear that they were very customer-centric, that they went all the way for their customers. And on top of that, they were very innovative in their customer service. Like in the 1980s, they already had a full-fledged database with lots and lots of details about their customers, which allowed them to do personalized marketing, personalized mailings that were then very successful, that allowed them to grow their business. And I was helping them out. I was making that database when I was like 12 years old. And I was part of the discussions around the kitchen table. And they always talked about their customers and what they could do to help them. And I think that was like a big chunk of inspiration for me, that almost felt like the most natural thing in the world. It's only when you come in the real world that you understand that was pretty remarkable what they did. And that inspired me as a teenager.
Yeah, you really see that passion for the customer in all of your books, all of your presentations. Now, your most recent book, it's called The Offer You Can't Refuse. And in this book, you present basically a new model on customer experience for the future. Could you explain that to me and the listeners?
Of course, with pleasure. Now, in the old world, if you wanted to be successful, you needed to have a good product, a good price, and a good service. And that was sufficient to make a difference, right? Now, in the past 10 years, what we've seen is that many organizations really differentiated themselves with digital convenience. They made our lives easier. We had, from complex interfaces, we went to one-button interfaces with voice assistants to zero-button interfaces. So our life became easier. In this year, in 2020, we experienced the big digital jump forward. Because of COVID, we've been through the biggest digital training course in human history. And now that we're 8 months in this pandemic, what you see is that, digital convenience is seen as the most natural thing in the world. Yeah. If you have it, fine. If you don't have it, it's a negative differentiator. So the minimum demand in the world has evolved towards still a good product and price, but also digital convenience. So the question is, what do people expect that will go beyond convenience? Yeah. And in my book, I work with two dimensions. On the one hand, I talk about a partner in life philosophy where you try to understand how the human behind the customer functions and how you can add value to that human, not necessarily to the customer, but to the human. And on the second dimension, it's about how can you use the strengths of your organization to add value to society. And that's the model of the book. If you combine the minimum demand, good product, good price, good service, digital convenience with a partner in life philosophy, and by adding value to society, you create an offer customers can't refuse, because you tend to add value then to all the dimensions that customers value. And I think it's important, if you understand behavior of customers, that you really dive into what do they expect and how can we add value to all those different layers to create eventually the offer they can't refuse.
And it is layered, right? It builds up. So it starts with product and price, digital convenience, this life coach or person in life, and then the broader commitment to society. Let's zoom into the digital convenience first. I think this is a trend that's indeed been going on for a longer time, heavily accelerated by COVID. Do you feel we've reached the peak of digital convenience, or is there more to win on that area?
Well, for many companies out there, there is a lot to win on that area, because a few minutes ago I said digital convenience is the most normal thing in the world. Digital convenience has become a commodity. That's from the eye of the customer, because we have all these apps on our phone, on the homepage of our phone, and they just work like they should work. If we push a button, that one thing happens that we expect to happen. So they are perfect. And we expect the same convenience from every company that we work with. That's from a customer point of view. So there it can only function as a negative differentiator. Yeah. If you look at it from a company point of view, many companies still have a long way to go to reach that point of digital convenience. So let's be honest, a lot of them are not doing a good job there. So it is an absolute priority, I think, for many organizations to invest more in digital convenience. And of course, we didn't reach some sort of an end point with digital convenience. Convenience will go further and will evolve even further. If artificial intelligence becomes more performant, we'll be able to automate certain things. Maybe we will automate our weekly groceries that we need, and then we evolve from a one-button interface to a zero-thinking interface, and then every company will have to evolve in that same direction. So there's still a stretch there. Many companies still need to do their job, but for a customer, it's the most natural thing in the world.
Yeah. And given the fact that indeed you can go very extreme with this digital convenience, could you give me an example of a company locally or globally anywhere where you feel, okay, they really understand what this digital convenience is and how to do it well, how to execute it well?
Absolutely. I would love to use the example of the app Good Doctor. It's a Chinese app that is part of the Ping An group, which is an insurance company. They created a healthcare app. And I think it's very convenient because it brings the healthcare system to the patient. If you feel something, if you have a symptom, if you have pain, you can open the app, you tell them what kind of symptoms you have, and in real time, they will set up a video call with a doctor. And that doctor is some sort of a first filter, right? If that doctor feels that something serious is going on, they will connect you, they will link you to a doctor in a physical location to do some more in-depth research about your symptoms. But in many cases, it's just something very small that is happening. And then they will maybe prescribe you some pills or, something else that can help you out. And they will order that instantly for you. And they will make sure that you will get your medication within half an hour at the point where you are at that moment. Wow. So I love this example because it brings the healthcare system to the patient. I live in Belgium. If I don't feel well, then I have to go to the healthcare system. I have to make an appointment with my physician. I have to go to the waiting room. I have to wait. Then I have the meeting with the doctor. Then I have to go to the pharmacy. I have to wait in line in the pharmacy, get my stuff, go back home. I need to take half a day off because I move towards the healthcare system. Good Doctor brings the healthcare system to the patient. And they go very extreme in that. You have the app, but now they're bringing it to the physical world as well. Like in cities like Beijing and Shanghai, they are placing these mobile clinics is what they call them, mobile clinics to the streets. It looks like an old phone booth like we used to have in our streets. But this time you walk in the mobile clinic and there you have a video call with a doctor. If you need medication, they will prescribe it for you. You go to the other side of the mobile clinic and there is a vending machine and you get your medication instantly. So you feel the difference. Yep. The time investment is so limited as a patient compared to the system that I'm used to. That is a brilliant example of convenience.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that example. I think in the past months, we've seen a lot of companies resort to video as a customer contact channel. But in a lot of cases, the customer journey stayed more or less the same, and you indeed still had to go to the bank or to the doctor, and then one part of it was replaced by video. But what they've done is actually turn it around completely, including even the prescription, including getting your medicine. So they've realized a complete turnaround of the model, and not just did a slight iteration or a slight improvement. Talking about video, how do you see video playing a role in this transformation to digital convenience, especially for these highly traditional sectors such as insurance, healthcare, banking?
It's going to play a vital role. It's in this year we hardly had any human contact, right? And human contact is still very important. The more digital the world becomes, the more important the human touch will be. Yeah. And we've lost that personal touch with the rise of digital, and that's what humans can do. And that's the difference between sending a chat message in WhatsApp versus having a video call. If you have a video call, you see a human. You look each other in the eyes, and there's a higher level of commitment. It's more difficult to hide as a customer service agent, for instance. During a phone call, it's easy to hide. They don't see you. You can hang up the phone and that's it. With an email, you can hide. With a video call, you cannot hide. You're watching each other in the eye. And because of that, the engagement and the commitment will be higher from the service point of view, from a customer point of view. There will be a higher level of trust. And as you say, in traditional markets, I think they can make a huge impact with this. I've recently looked into this real estate company. It's a Belgian company called Upgrade Estate. Mm-hmm. And they recently released a bond, and you can invest in that as a customer of them. And it's 100,000 euros per bond that you buy, and it's a cool project. It's a cool product. It's a 1-year-old bond, and you get 1%. And but today you cannot have face-to-face meetings to discuss the pros and the cons of this investment. But what they've done is they created a virtual brochure where you have a lot of information. But on every page, you can click and start a video call with someone of their team instantly. And they've made sure that 7 days a week, from Monday till Sunday, from 7 in the morning until 10 in the evening, there is someone available. So the moment you're ready to invest, you can click and a human shows up. I don't need to explain you, Rutger, what kind of trust you build at that moment. And it's a huge success because of that. It takes away the barrier to invest.
Yeah, it's really cool. And all of these examples, I think it's stuff that we experience ourselves, right? The friction in those processes and how unlogical it actually is to, if you want this meeting, that you need to drive there as a customer, that they're not available 24/7. I think those changes are really for the better. And they might even get them closer to becoming this partner in life as well, which is step 2 or layer 2 of your book. I was wondering, what does it mean for a business to be a partner in life for a consumer?
Yeah. Partner in life is about understanding the human behind the customer. It's about understanding that every human has a film of their life in their mind, with things that they hope will happen or things that they hope will not happen. They have dreams, fears, and ambitions. And the better you understand those, the more value you can bring to their life. Customer journeys is about optimizing the transaction. It's making sure you can buy without frictions, which is important. But here, it's about a life journey. It's about emotional convenience. It's about understanding the emotional needs and adding value to those. It's about understanding what is requiring energy from the customer in their day-to-day life, and how can you make sure that you can give them energy by helping them out on a broader level than just selling your product. And this is, the skill that you need here is to have a really deep insight and understanding in the attitude and the mindset of the customer. Yeah. And when you can do that, you can add value and you can make a difference for them.
What's a good example of a company doing this? Is there a particular company where you say, they are really a partner in life?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Centraal Beheer, which is an insurance company in the Netherlands. It's part of the Achmea Group. Yeah. And one of the challenges of an insurance company is, of course, to get a relationship that goes beyond a transactional one. In most cases, the only interaction you have with your insurance company is the yearly invoice, right? And then sometimes you have a claim that needs to be handled, and hopefully they do that well, but that's about it. So Centraal Beheer was like, okay, we need to go beyond selling an insurance product. And they decided to become a partner in sustainable living for their clients. And then they looked for services that they could bring. And one of the things they do is they offer solar panels to their customers, or they let me turn it around. Customers can buy solar panels from Centraal Beheer. And you go to their website and you give in your address, and in real time they scan your roof. In real time you get a proposal, so it's super convenient. And a few days later they will come to your house to install the solar panels. Now, why would an insurance company do this? First of all, they want to be a partner in sustainable living, and solar panels can help in that. Second, they know that many people in the Netherlands would like to have solar panels, but they also know that people are a little bit worried, and that it's seen as a hustle because they don't know where to go. They don't know what the good suppliers are. And as an insurance company, you know who the good suppliers are, because in the last 5 years, they had about 5,000 claims that they handled from people that were dissatisfied with their solar panels. So they perfectly know the market, and then they can do that. But they go further than that. For instance, they have this app. It's called in Dutch Klushulp. It's an app for chores. It's like an Uber for chores. It's perfect for someone like me. I have 2 left hands. And this app allows you to push a button, and then they send someone to your house the same day to do that chore for you. And that works really fine. And there are a number of things that they do to help you out in your day-to-day life and to help you to have a better, to be a partner in sustainable living. And the cool thing is this is not a free service that they have. It's a business model. So they charge money to their customers. And this is not just a service for their existing clients. No, everybody in the Netherlands can use this service. And what they've seen is that about half of the people who use all these new services are non-insurance clients. So you can imagine also the business potential that you create here by being a partner in life. So partner in life is not about charity. This is about a smart strategy where you add value to the life of the customer. And it also allows you to build the business. And it's a win-win. Customer is happy, you are happy. That's what a partner in life is about for me.
Yeah. Cool. And we didn't actually prepare this, but Centraal Beheer, Achmea is also one of our customers. So I'm really happy that you mentioned them. I also really love them, and the way customer centricity is really part of their DNA. We also see numerous initiatives that we are able to facilitate where it's their goal not to reduce customer contact, but actually to increase customer contact. And they use video to basically deepen the relationship with their customers. Again, with this dual motivation. So helping the customer, knowing that if you help them well, probably some more business will come out of it, but not as the primary objective every single way. I was thinking about one other thing related to partner in life. I grew up in a very small village myself. And in the village, you had the local bank. It was a Rabobank. And everyone in that single village knew the branch manager. And the branch manager knew every single person in the village. Kids would go to school together. They would play in the local football team. With Carnival, he would be partying hardest of all. So essentially, what I was thinking is, all the way back then, this guy of this bank and everyone that worked at the local bank, they were maybe already our partner in life. But since then, a lot of things centralized, digitized, and maybe now it's even harder to get back to becoming this partner in life. And my question is, how could banks and other service organizations, maybe even governments, how can they get back to being a partner in life, knowing that we need to digitize, we need to centralize, we need to do things more efficiently?
Yeah, the challenge there is to scale the human touch, right?
Yeah.
And you need technology to do that. And banks, I think artificial intelligence will play a crucial role there. And the more we move closer to 2030, the more important that will become. Like my bank now, I'm a customer of KBC in Belgium. They recently launched Kate. And Kate is a virtual assistant that they launched, an AI assistant like Alexa, but then specifically created for my bank. And it helps us with, basic financial tasks. If you want to transfer some money to another account, you can just verbally talk to her. But what's really interesting is that they want to be a partner with Kate to help us save time and save money. So Kate will automatically look to my expenses. And then at a certain moment, she will come to me and say, hey, Steven, what we've seen is that you are paying more for your energy bill than many other customers that we have with a similar house and the same environment. So is it okay if we as a bank renegotiate that contract for you? You just have to say yes, and then we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And this is a partner in life. This is an automated partner in life. If as a bank you succeed in making sure that you can save money from your customers in an automated way, that's something that everyone is interested in. Yeah. And this will be a technique. The one thing that you just described, that is typically the human touch, which has become scarce in this world. And because of it, it has increased in importance, right? If you still have someone that knows everyone, if you have someone who has that talent and is willing to invest in that, that is just worth gold. I mean, that's, and the more digital becomes, the more value those human capabilities will have. But the truth is, as a bank, you cannot rely on that for 100% anymore. So I think you need to figure out a way how to scale the human touch with digital, but at the same time, increase the awareness among your humans that they can still make a huge difference in their human skills, and also invest in this. It's not because it's more difficult that we shouldn't be doing it anymore. On the contrary, if it becomes scarce, it increases in value, and it can also help to become a partner in life.
Yeah, that's also one of the trends that we see with our banking customers, indeed, where if they have, for example, a mortgage conversation, the conversation itself takes 45 minutes, but then they need to do 1.5 hours of paperwork, like writing down the report, complying to all of the regulations. And we're now using speech to text and natural language processing to actually save them that manual labor, which those high value, high quality personal advisors really hate to do. So they can spend more time with their customers.
Cool.
Going back to maybe final thing about partner in life, because you triggered me with Centraal Beheer en Achmea, because you mentioned 2 services that they're basically offering to anyone, not just their insurance customers. 2 services, or maybe at least one of them, which is just a normal paid service, and none of them is insurance. So my question, how wild can you go as a company to become this? Like, how close does it need to be to their core service?
Well, you can go wild, of course, but I think you need to have a storyline behind it where you look for the core passion in life that you want to achieve, and where you can bring value to your customers. But it's going back to the essence and the core of your existence sometimes. Take Toyota, which is one of the largest car manufacturers in the world. They are now building this experimental city called Woven City in Japan, close to Mount Fuji, where they are building a real city. And in 2 years from now, a couple of thousands of people should live there. They do that together with an energy company, a telco, all the kind of companies that can offer basic needs to a community. But what's really interesting is that they are building a city without cars. In Woven City, there is no place for cars. And they are doing this because they are aware of the fact that today's cities are all built around cars. It's car central. It's car focused. They are convinced that future cities will be human focused and will be built around humans, and where it will be more about public transportation, where it will be more about delivery services that are probably fully automated. And they want to make this real-time lab to understand what the future of mobility will look like and how they can play a role in that. And that it will probably mean that they will have to do delivery services, that it will probably mean that they will have to be involved in public transportation because there will be less cars in a couple of decades from now. And they are preparing that. And that's fascinating. It's something completely new, but it's still in the core of their passion. How can we be a partner in mobility for people and not just be a car manufacturer? And if you go to the core of your existence, you will figure out what your area of expertise is and how you can add value to that. And I think it must make sense for a customer.
Yeah.
what you're trying to do, and the closer it is to the core of your existence, the more sense it will make.
Is Tesla selling tequila? Is that just a gimmick, or could that even be in some weird way fitting to the brand and fitting to?
Well, it's not a partner in life thing. It's a gimmick. It's a cool thing. I wish many people wish they had one of those bottles. But Tesla is a good example of partner in life, because, you know, when there's a natural disaster, when there's a hurricane in certain areas in the US, instantly they put new software on those cars so that everyone has the long distance battery, so that everyone has a supercharger, even if it didn't pay for that. They just give that to the audience because they want to make sure that they can evacuate in the fastest way possible. And then afterwards, they remove it again because people didn't pay for it. But when it's really necessary, they give it to you for free. That's partner in life. Huh? We're going to be there when you need us.
Yeah.
So
cool.
That's a good example of Tesla. The tequila is just a cool thing.
Okay. Let's get to social commitment, the final layer, let's say, and maybe even the most difficult one to do it actually trustworthy. It's about climate change, mobility, health, any social topic, I believe.
Yes.
In an interview, you compared the mission statements of several Dutch banks, or all of the Dutch banks, and you basically said it's impossible to distinguish between them.
Yeah.
But
the story is even worse, Rutger.
Okay.
The story is even worse. I had the pleasure to present. I present a lot to banks. I love going to banks. And I presented the different mission statements in a keynote presentation. I just didn't mention the name of the bank, and I had a little quiz with about 200 people working in the industry in a bank. And I have to tell you, the results were really, really disappointing. It's not just the customers that don't know what the mission or the purpose is of those banks. The employees that work in the industry are not even sure themselves. So that proves the point, even in a more sad kind of way.
Yeah. So it's not a mission at all. It's just a statement on a piece of paper.
It's a sentence that is just so generic that it fits every company in the industry.
Yeah. Okay, but then how to do it right? Is there some sort of framework that companies can apply to do it right?
Yeah, there are a number of things. Let me first make an analysis of the problem. Often when a group of senior leaders takes an offsite to find a purpose or to, talk about their purpose, they end up with something that allows them to make sure that everything they already do fits underneath that flag. So it's usually made by looking to the past and saying, yeah, but look, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing that. So this purpose would be great. That's a mistake. A purpose is not about the past. It's about the future. Mm-hmm. So what they should do is make it in ambition. This is something we want to achieve in 5-10 years from now. This is a guiding star. This is helping us to make certain decisions in an easier way. And make it a journey, make it a process. And then be very transparent about it, both internally and externally, and say, okay, this is what we want to achieve, but we know that we're not there yet. This, and this is not good enough yet. This is something that we have to work on. On the other hand, these are things that we're already doing in a good way. But these are our action points, and we're going to work on those in the next year. And you can take us accountable. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to achieve. If we're not doing this, please tell us that we're not performing. And by being transparent, by making it a journey, it helps you to evolve in a certain direction. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't create a standstill, or it doesn't create an excuse of saying, look how great we are today. I think then it's completely useless. It should be a transparent journey to the future where you have the ambition to achieve something, to change your organization and move into a certain direction that makes you enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. So if I understand correctly, actually an important part of it is the transparency and actually saying that you're not there yet.
Exactly.
Instead of pretending that you're already there. Is that what makes it genuine or authentic?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a problem with marketing and PR. It's the curse of perfection. We were trained to be perfect. If you take a marketing course or a communication course, it's about being perfect. You make a beautiful advertisement and it looks like you are the best car in the world, best product in the world. That's how we were trained. And in advertising, that's fine. When it's about adding value to society, that creates the opposite effect. You will lose credibility and people will look for certain details where you're not performing as you say you are. And this is what, now you have a number of companies that, are scared to talk about their purpose because they are scared that they will be attacked by the media or on social media by just, activists that will say, hey, this is not right. This is not good what you're doing. So they don't say anything. Yeah. Then you have companies that pretend that they're perfect and they're under attack. And then you have companies that talk about the journey. And even those get criticism, but they're okay with that. They're like, yeah, of course, you're right. We're not there yet. That's what you can see on our website. That's what you see in our communication. But we're working on it. And this is the next step. And we're sure we're going to achieve that within 12 months from now. And if we don't, please be hard for us, because that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And it's important to be transparent, because otherwise you will get into a non-credible storyline. And then whatever you do in the years after that, it will never have impact, and it will even have a negative impact potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. One company that comes to mind when I think about having a strong mission or a strong vision around this is Waterfall, where they literally state it's their mission to achieve fossil-free living within one generation. So I think that combines a lot of things, right? It's very concrete. It's not overly ambitious. It's realistic, and it's for the greater good. And if you look at some of their services, I think they also match quite well. So they, for example, give energy advice to their customers. It's a free service. The customers can have a video call with their mobile device, walk through the house, and then get an energy advice. So it's convenient, layer one. It's a partner in life because it helps them to save on the bill, but it's also helping them to reduce energy spent, and also advising, for example, on solar panels. Another service they have is that instead of sending a mechanic with their car to your house, they also first do a remote inspection, where they again set up a video connection. They take a look, and like 70% of the time, the mechanic doesn't even have to go there, and the customer can just solve it themselves.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great example. Yeah, absolutely. And I like their, the statement of saying we want to make sure that we end up in a fossil-free kind of world in one generation. Yeah. And to be honest, I'm a bigger fan of a B hack than a purpose. And what you're saying here is a B hack. That's an old management philosophy. It means big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah.
I like companies that have a big, hairy. It doesn't have to be so tangible, but it's hairy and it's audacious. It's not easy, and it's a goal. And the problem with a purpose is that it's sometimes so fluffy that it goes in all directions. And with your example here, it's very clear. This is what we want to do, and all actions will lead in that direction, and hopefully we will achieve it. With a purpose, very often you can tell a story that everything fits underneath it. And that's the difference with the example that you just give. And that's why I prefer a B hack over a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Maybe looking a little bit ahead.
By the way, I was thinking about the case that you said, okay, these guys do a first checkup with video call and so. Yeah. It's sometimes crazy that so many people still don't understand the power of video calls. I had someone in my family that had surgery a couple of months ago, and the doctor saw that as a routine kind of operation, right? But it didn't feel right for my family member. It felt like something was wrong. So he called the doctor and said, okay, doctor, we have an appointment 3 weeks from now, but it doesn't feel right, and it's on my legs, and I have the feeling that it doesn't even look right. Can you help me? And then you know what the answer of the doctor was? Yeah, I can't see your legs right now, so why don't you take a painkiller and hopefully it will improve. And I was like, there is a camera in that phone, dear doctor. You can turn that on, and it's so easy that you can just look at his legs and you will know what's going on. But it's like, I can't see them. That's very hard for me to understand, that a lot of people still see a difference between a phone call and a video call, and that they don't see the combination of those. It's very strange.
True. I do think the world got a nice training course the last 6 months.
Absolutely.
Where a lot of the extremely traditional sectors, like indeed medical, had to resort to video to some extent, and then finally basically got forced into experiencing the benefits.
Yeah.
Indeed, for every interaction, there's an optimal channel.
True.
It's not always video, but it's always not always face to face.
No, I saw a study from in the healthcare industry in the US, where they asked just an average US population, once the pandemic is over, and if it's safe again to go everywhere you want, what would be your preferred channel for medical meetings? Would you like to go back to the doctor's office, or would you prefer to have a video call or a remote session? And the results are amazing. And they asked it for several kind of doctors. The most negative result was 50-50, where 50% wants to go back to the doctor in real life, 50% wants to stay in a remote session. But like for mental health care, when you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, 64% prefers a remote video call over a real life setting. So this, just changes shows how we made a complete flip in our mindset in this. It's the big digital jump forward for video calls.
Yeah, but there's a huge misconception that personal means cup of coffee. Personal for a lot of people means from the comfort of my own home, safe, flexible, anytime, anywhere. And long before COVID, we actually saw across our customer base that the customer satisfaction for video interactions, even for interactions such as private banking or healthcare or indeed psychology, even there, the customer satisfaction for video interactions was always higher than face-to-face interactions. Wow. Because you're getting the same outcome, but it takes you 20% of the effort. And for certain situations where it's really, really personal, people actually express that it's safer. It feels safer. It feels more natural to have it in your own living room. Maybe you can invite someone to join. It's very easy. But for some reason, people still, maybe not anymore today, but for a very long time, thought, okay, if it's not like, if I cannot touch someone or if I cannot serve them this cup of coffee, it's not personal. I think that's really wrong, and we've learned indeed that it's like that. And we also see it across our customer base that from 0 to 100, it went crazy from a small portion of interactions via video to the entire business running on video as a customer contact channel, with no loss of sales, no loss of customer satisfaction, and a lot of efficiency gains. So it's the biggest training course, I think, on digitizing your customer interaction.
Absolutely.
So I think we probably also both believe that a lot of this will stay, right? Once the Corona crisis is over, a lot of this will stay.
Yeah, I'm convinced of that. And of course, some things will come back. Let's hope that a lot of things will come back.
Yep.
But in terms of digital behavior, we climbed the Table Mountain. It's not the Matterhorn. We didn't go steep up and to go steep down again. No, it's a Table Mountain. We climbed steep up and we reached a new level. For me, sometimes it feels like we stepped into a time machine this year.
Yeah.
We stepped into it in March 2020. And if you look to digital behavior now, without the pandemic, we wouldn't have reached this level before 2027, probably.
Yeah. We have one customer in particular. Their big, hairy, audacious goal for 2020 was to have 15% of their customer contact via video. So transformed from face-to-face to video. Mm-hmm. And with this, it became 70%.
Wow.
And like I was challenging them on the 15%, but they didn't even consider going more ambitious than 15%, out of this world to even go beyond 15%. It was very, very ambitious to aim for that. And then out of nothing, they go to 70 and everybody likes it. And it of course, there's some getting used to. There's some stuff that maybe is a little bit challenging in the beginning, but indeed we achieved in 1 year what might have taken 5 years otherwise.
Yeah.
Also, looking a little bit ahead for 2021, there are no easy answers, of course. But if there's one thing that you would recommend organizations to focus on to, well, maybe improve their customer relationship in general, or maybe more specific to make this offer you can't refuse, what would that advice be?
I'm going to give a generic answer, Rutger. 2021 is going to be a strange year again. In the beginning, we're all going to be stuck with this pandemic for a couple of months. And then it's going to be interesting when the vaccines are starting to roll out. Even if not everyone is vaccinated, is behavior changing? Or are we going to wait until everyone is vaccinated? And this is not just about what governments will say. This is about human behavior. Mm-hmm. Will new habits show up? Will we create new patterns in our lives? I think the answer is yes. I think that the customer behavior at the end of 2021 will be different than today, and it will be different than in 2019. So I think the most important thing to do next year is to be extremely flexible, be very close to that customer behavior, and more than ever, evolve together with your customer, understand which channels they use, and be there. Use the same channels. And if they change, you change with them. And the companies that have the highest level of creativity, the highest level of creativity combined with working hard and being extremely flexible, I think those will be the winners at the end of 2021. But 2021 is definitely the year that you have to be very close towards your customer and monitor their behavior extremely, extremely close by and with the greatest detail to be there with them and to evolve with them.
So no assumptions.
No. And I don't know if you see it in your business as well, but many businesses have become a short-term business, right? Mm-hmm. In the past, we were already now making plans for fall 2021. Now I get requests for presentations for in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks, and people want to make a decision and they want it to happen right away. So the long-term planning cycle is disrupted, and we're now in a short-term kind of world where things have to happen instantly. So because of that, behavior and habits are changing much faster than ever before. It's a short-term kind of reality today. So you need to work, like that and be more flexible than ever before.
Yeah, and that's actually the second lesson we've learned, right? How flexible even the largest organizations can be if they need to, right? A lot of companies that didn't even move to the Microsoft Cloud Edition, all of a sudden were able to move while it was maybe a 2-year plan to get there. So I think under pressure, even large organizations can be flexible. For some reason, they just didn't have to or weren't challenged enough to do that in the past years.
Yeah, I agree. And it was also a perfect moment the past few months for some big organizations to try out new business models in a safe way. Look at Disney with Disney Plus, where they now send new movies directly to the end user and they bypass the movie theater. Yeah. With like Mulan or Soul is what they're doing now. Or last week, Warner Brothers is saying, we're going to release our films at the same time in the movie theater and in streaming platforms. Wow. Imagine that they would have said that at the end of last year. I think the movie theaters would have killed them. Today, they're like, yeah, movie theaters, sorry, you guys are closed. We need to do something and we're not sure people will come back to you. So that market is completely different and it will never be like the old world again. So the winning movie theaters are those that can adapt to this new reality and understand what the consequences will be. And this experiment or these experiments that are happening today and in the next few months, if it's in your industry, you have to take that very seriously because a lot of companies are trying new things out, and if they work, they're going to stick to them.
Yeah. Well, all right. Thanks, Steven. Time has really flown by. Super interesting to get your thoughts on digitization, the human factor, customer experience, and how companies and organizations can make this offer you can't refuse. Thanks again for taking the time, and hopefully speak soon.
Thank you, Rutger. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to talk.